Hello, everybody. Welcome to Heart with Gary Reinhardt. I am your host, Gary Reinhardt. It is good to be back here again on Dacklin Radio and on Facebook Live for Dacklin Radio. So I'm just happy to be out here with you talking about the important subjects. Some good news first before we get into the jury political talk that I hope we don't have to have. We have found a location for a permanent Dacklin Radio home. We're in the I don't know how you say it. We're in the middle. We're in the middle of getting it cleaned up, getting it renovated, getting it ready for us to have a sustainable radio station in one spot. We hope with this, not only can we keep all of our equipment in one place, we don't have to travel to and fro just to do a show. We have a place we can have interviews, we can have people come and do their shows at our location, maybe helping to end this stigma of trying to do your own show if you have somebody there to help you with the technical stuff. So we're working on that. Right now, we're in the middle of talking with Frontier Internet because you kind of need internet to do an internet show. So hopefully we can do that. And hopefully the internet will run smoothly. As you can see, I am in the bunker where internet actually does work. So, yay! This is one of the few places I can go where the internet actually works. So, hopefully, we'll be lucky enough to have good running internet. So that's a good thing. Tonight is open mic night at the Internet Speculator. Just kind of plug that. And then tomorrow's the deck barbecue from 1 to 6. At both things, I'll be there DJing. So if you want to come have some fun, I'll be there. One other thing I want to mention before we get into the actual talk, hey Robin, is that I had mentioned on Facebook that this would be a discussion on free speech and how I view it. I don't want it to become political. I mean, I know already just talking about it is going to be political in some sense, but I'm not siding with one side or the other. In fact, I don't even believe there should be a one side or the other. We should just come together, but that's another story for another day. This is just going to be a talk about the concept of free speech and the pros and cons of what it's like to have a country where we have free speech. And I also want to say, I got to do this for legal reasons, that the opinions stated here on Hard Thought with Gary Reinhardt do not reflect the opinions of Dacklin Radio or employees of Dacklin Radio. This is just my spiel, how I feel about it. So we get that out of the way so no one gets sued or hurt or anything like that. Of course, free speech is paramount, especially in a job I have now, being able to do this, a show on the internet, where I can literally say whatever I want without, mostly without legal consequence. Not like I can state I want an intention to harm or intention to kill somebody that is illegal. But within that frame, I can pretty much say what I want. And that's where we get the pros and the cons of free speech. So we'll go first with the pros of free speech. Of course, like I said, you can say whatever you want. You can express your opinions as you want. You can if you don't like a particular subject or you're not a big fan of this subject or that subject, you have the right to speak up and say, yeah, I don't agree with this, or I agree with that. You can say what is on your mind. However, you start looking at some things, and I'm going to try to. I wanted to write this down, but I felt something like this kind of went better off the cuff. So, excuse me if I take like moments to do it, to think about it, but it's a beautiful thing in our democracy that we're able to take a subject and be able to say how we feel on the subject without fear of legal repercussions. If you lived in a country such as North Korea or Russia or Iran, where speaking aloud these sort of things will get you thrown in jail, will get you killed. And that is something that I hold dear to my heart, just the ability to be able to say what I want. And I don't always agree with what other people say, but I feel that in a country we live in, you should be able to, listen to their side, agree or disagree, and then there you go. You can continue the discussion, you can end the discussion. That's your right. Your right to say something. You have the right to not say something. You have the right to counter, or you have the right just to say it and go on your way. Now, what a lot of people I don't think understand is the fact that when you do say something, there are consequences to what you say. You have the freedom to say it. That's what I'm not saying that you don't have the freedom to say what you want to say. However, I think people don't always get that there are consequences to what you say. Whether that is upsetting someone, hurting somebody. In some cases, I know this word gets thrown around a lot, offend somebody. There are consequences to what you say. Even though you have the freedom to say whatever you want, it is good to recognize that there's also weight and consequences behind those words. Just as Uncle Ben in Spider-Man says, with great power comes great responsibility. The freedom of speech is an amazing and great power, but it is also an amazing and great responsibility to be able to say what you want. But then you need to recognize that when you say these things, your words do have consequences. That's why your mother always told you this: if you have nothing nice to say, or if you, when you say something stupid, you should have put your foot in your mouth. Those are sayings that go with what you're saying has consequences to it. When you look at some of the events that have gone on recently, such as the various protests, we'll single out the we'll say the protests in Charlottesville. That was, I believe that was over the summer. Where people were protesting on both sides, and you could make the point that a lot of people said a lot of hurtful things. On both sides. Both sides have said very hurtful things that I might not agree with, that you might not agree with. And it's interesting to think, where people have defended the ability to have free speech, but, when some people think it gets abused in one way or another, whether it's, we'll say the Ku Klux Klan side, just to be kind of general, or the Antifa side, if we're going on this way, that you shouldn't, people tell you, to shut up, don't say what you want to say. It's not legitimate. And that's where the difficulty of free speech, I think, comes in. You look at it and you're like, well, I don't want to hear these hurtful things. I don't want to hear these damaging things. But do we have the right to tell them not to be able to say that particular thing? It's under free speech as a constitutional right to be able to say these things, whether on the right, left, center, whatever. But is there a point where free speech should be reined in? I guess and I'm not, and I also want to put this out there that the point of this, the point of Heart to Heart with Gary Reinhart, is not that I'm telling you the answer. It's not my job to tell you the answer. It is my job to present the argument or the situation, and then you decide yourself, which is, I think, where a lot of news organizations have lost their way. They're more interested in telling you how you should think rather than presenting you with the facts and the evidence of the particular event or situation, and then you put it together yourself and you make your own judgment. So, having said that, it is not my job to tell you how you should feel. It's not. That's not my job. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to present an argument or a situation, and then I want to see how you guys feel about it. There are a lot of countries that are considered first world countries, and I'll come up with a few examples, that don't have freedom of speech as the United States does. One of them is our neighbor to the north, Canada. In Canada, you can be arrested for hate speech. This happened when the Westboro Baptist Church went up north to Canada to do what they do, and they got arrested. And they're like, you can't do that. We have freedom of speech. You do not have freedom of speech in Canada. Sorry, you don't. So they got arrested and fined for what they said. And I totally don't agree with what they said, but should they have the right to say it? Is the argument that comes out. Even in the UK, in England, there was a gentleman who had a dog. He had a dog, and he taught it to do kind of a Nazi salute when he said the word Sieg Heil. So, like, he would say Sieg Heil, which, if you don't know, is like the Nazi rhetoric sound. I'm not exactly sure what it means in English. Didn't do that research. But whenever he said it, the dog would lift its paw up and do kind of a Nazi salute. Now, some people would think this is just an innocent thing, and then the joke is the fact that you're making something so innocent looking, the dog, dogs are innocent, they're cute, do something that's not so innocent, which is a Nazi salute. Over there in England, he faced 8 months in prison. I believe he is serving 8 months in prison for doing that, for teaching his dog to do a Nazi salute as a joke to his girlfriend. So it is an interesting thing when you think about freedom of speech, because the United States is one of few places that allow for such a broad range of free speech, where in other countries that are first world countries, don't allow you to have that. So that it is a topic of debate whether free speech should be reined in at some point. Is there a point where you can say something so hateful and vulgar that free speech no longer applies. Now, like I said before, if you say something threatening or you make a direct threat to somebody, that is illegal. You can't make a direct threat at somebody. That is illegal in itself. But if you speak about the general people, whether it's a race or a type of people or a section of people, usually you have the right to do that. I mean, just look at Facebook. You know, you see a lot of posts and stuff about these people or that people or this group or that group and this is half the reason why I don't want to be on Facebook anyway. I'm here for the puppy pictures. I want like pictures of, if there's one thing you learn from today, send me pictures of puppies and kittens into my Facebook feed. That's what I want. I want puppies and kittens. That's what I love about Facebook, is the puppies and kittens. But you see all these different things about different groups and being able to say what you want to these groups. Now that we're on the subject of Facebook, this is another facet of free speech, is the fact, should you have free speech in a private area? I know it's not really a better way to explain it. I mean, it's hard to understand that Facebook just started 10 years ago because it's exploded into this. So has Twitter and things like that. You may have heard on the news that Alex Jones, who I think he still runs this website called Infowars.com. And he says a lot of inflammatory things, a lot of things that a lot of people find offensive, a lot of people find as sort of nutty at some point, a lot of conspiracy theories. This gentleman has been shut down by pretty much every major social media platform. Facebook has banned him. Twitter has banned him. Spotify has banned him. YouTube has banned him. Blah, blah, blah. On and on and on and on and on. And all the people are like, well, you can't do that. He's just saying what he wants to say. And some people are like, well, it's good that you're standing up for that you're making sure that filth like this is not on our platform. But the question is, if you're in if you're in social media such as Facebook, and I've seen people put posts of, oh, the Facebook police are after me, or the Facebook police are taking this down and that down, and stuff like that. As a private company, they're able to have what goes up on their platform. That's the part of the agreement package that none of us read, and I don't blame you. It's a lot of legal mumbo jumbo. You pretty much got to get you got to pass the bar exam before you read these things. I've tried reading the terms and conditions, and I like to think I'm fairly intelligent, like at least average, if not, maybe a little below average or average, about in that area. And even I can't understand what the heck. I feel like I got to call my lawyer in the room to read these things to me. They're confusing, which to me sometimes I think is kind of the point, but that's another story, another day. They have the ability to tell you, okay, this thing you're putting up does not abide by the guidelines that we have put in place on our website. And then people yell, well, that's not right. That's getting rid of free speech. That is demeaning what I want to say. But then the question is, as someone who has a company who's trying to get stockholders, who's trying to have a good outside image, should they not be able to make sure that things that they don't find helpful in that goal. Their goal is, and always will be, to get stockholders more money, more revenue, blah, 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 blah. Should they not be able to censor what is on their platform, being that they're the one who set up the platform and are allowing you to use it? That's the question. How far does free speech reach? Does it reach beyond, should it reach beyond what we say in the real world and what we say on social media? Should we be able to say what we want to say into social media? You know, that's a good question. It's a good argument. I myself like to, believe that these are companies, much like Declan Radio is a company. We'll even go with that. On Declan Radio, when you sign up to be on Declan Radio, which I highly suggest you do, because having a radio show is really cool, in my opinion. I like this. This is really cool. We allow you to go a certain length. You can say certain things. You can use language. You can use inflammatory language, we'll say, or swearing. Of course, we then will put up a mature warning to allow people to be like, hey, this guy's going to say some things that you're not going to like. Give you fair warning. However, we also state in the contract that you can't use racist terms or racist or sexist terms when you speak. Because that is our prerogative, to provide an outlet for you to speak in, the platform to speak. But we also have to keep the image of Declan Radio, looking good for people to want to join. And it would be very difficult for us to get new listeners if we have people being able to say racist or inflammatory things on our station. So when I look at it that way, and then I see Facebook and Twitter and that, and you break it down to just the bare fact that they are a company who has stockholders, who want customers, so then they can get their ads up, so you can get the ad money. They're going to feel very protective of what goes on their platform, because they want it to look good. They want it to look squeaky clean so that more people would be more invested. They don't want to have controversy. I mean, not all the time. They want to have people come and use their platform without fear of seeing things that society has deemed offensive, I guess. And I hate to use the word offensive, because I feel like it's swung around too much, especially on both sides. That's offensive, this is offensive. It's all a matter of perspective on what offensive is. What I find offensive is not what you find offensive. And what you find offensive, I might find offensive. It's a matter of perspective, I believe. I guess you would call it libertarian. I'm not very political, not good at politics. I'm just going to stay out there, not very good at politics. But I believe that everyone should be able to do what they want to do in their own life. But they also have to accept that on some platforms, you can't do what you want to do, because that's a platform provided by a company who needs to keep their outlook. We go to the next one. Does free speech go to nonverbal actions? And what I'm trying to say here is things like protests, things like kneeling, things like putting your hand in the air. Does free speech extend to those things? Now, you talk to some people who are who I know are advocates of free speech who would find certain things people do on a nonverbal level, such as protest, and that to not fall under free speech guidelines, whether for this reason, that reason, whatever. I have found that a lot of people have a difficult time, and no one's specific, and I know I'm not going to say specifics, but in my experience, it is hard for people to be able to always allow other people the freedom of speech, the freedom to say what they want, the freedom to do what they want in the name of free speech. A bit, of course, if you follow the NFL, and even if you don't follow the NFL, this is a big story. It's Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick knelt during the national anthem in protest of what he felt was police persecution on African Americans. That was his reason to kneel. Now, I'm not here to say that he's right, that there is or there isn't persecution. That's not what I'm here for. All right? I just want to spit that out. When I look at it from an objective view of just him trying to get his message across, in the short term, I find what he did to be genius. Now stay with me here as I try to explain this. I find it genius in the fact that it spread his message, whether that message is right, whether that message is wrong. I'm not here to debate that. I'm debating that his action was so radical, so taboo, that no one could stop talking about it, which is what he wanted. You know, you see somebody doing something that no one would think you would ever see. On national TV, someone is kneeling to the national anthem. You knew once he did that, the reporters, the pundits, the anchors were going to talk to him and ask him, why did you do that? Which is exactly what he wanted. Then he could take his agenda and he could put it forward, which happened to be police on black violence, Black Lives Matter, whatever you call it. So in the short term, for him to accomplish that goal was genius. To do something radical, taboo, something that pissed a lot of people off, and still does. Unfortunately, this move in the long term, I feel, has been more detrimental to his message because more people have been twisting it into a different narrative than what he originally had went out for. Whether it's he's disrespecting the troops, he's disrespecting America, you know, that line. So in the long term, I think that move was detrimental. In the short term, to just be able to get the platform he needed to say what he wanted to say, it was a genius move. Like I said, I'm not endorsing nor condoning, just saying on a perfectly neutral level that it was a controversial move, and controversial moves tend to work. Because now we've had fast forward, I think like 3 or 4 years now. Nike has done the same thing. Controversial move. They put Colin Kaepernick up on and gave him a contract for their commercial. This caused a big stir. But that was the point. The point was to cause the big stir. To get people talking about Nike. Even when people had videos of them burning Nikes, all anyone could think about were Nikes, which is exactly what they wanted. And they weren't aiming it at the conservative crowd. They're trying to aim it at the youth. and try to sell them shoes. The young disenfranchised youth who see Colin Kaepernick as a hero and aim their shoe sales towards them. Okay, I'm back. For some reason, Facebook Live cut out. I don't know why. But anyway, what was I talking about? Colin Kaepernick, Nikes. They want to sell you the shoes. And that's kind of the point. Now, how does this all tie into free speech? This is how I'm going to try and tie it in. Should Colin Kaepernick be able to say or do what he wanted to do in the name of free speech? To be able to kneel at the national anthem, to get his point across, whether you promote it or you don't, does that fall under free speech? Should he be able to do that? And that's a discussion to put up to you guys. Should he be able to? Does that constitute free speech? Should we allow free speech for some people, if not for others? Is it a situational thing? Do you think it's like this situation calls for this thing and this situation calls for this thing? Or should free speech just be overall? You can just say what you want and then deal with the consequences later. Now, like I said, I'm not looking for I'm not a political person. As Alan Jackson said in his song, Where Were You When the World Stopped Turning? I'm not a political man. I watch CNN, but I'm not sure I can tell you the difference in Iraq and Iran. And that's me. I'm not a political guy. I'm just a guy who likes to start discussions and to hear people's different points of view. That's what I think. That's why I want Heart to Heart to be about, is having a discussion about subjects that may be hard to swallow, hard to talk about, and see what your guys' opinion is on it. Where people stand on particular issues. To have basically a heart to heart. I mean, a heart to heart is when you speak to someone on a personal, deep level. And that, I mean, that's really what I wanted to do, is just be able to put up a subject such as free speech this week, and then to ask you guys how you feel about these different situations where it comes into play. So I'm hoping the video from before got saved. I doubt it. And unfortunately, I'm not recording this. I was hoping to keep it recorded on Facebook Live, but it seems like I got cut off in mid-speech. So I may have to redo my plan on how to do this in a way that allows me, in a way where I record this in case something like that happens again. Because I was not expecting that to happen again. Or not. I was not expecting like the video to cut out, and then apparently, as I look at it, there's nothing here. I'm looking in my inbox, so I don't know. Maybe they'll come up. They'll tell me why it's not, and maybe I said something that they didn't like. How strange would that be on the talk of free speech if I said something that went against their platform while I was talking about free speech? That would be weird. I'm not putting that theory or conspiracy theory out there. It just would be ironic to me if that's what would happen. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up today for Heart to Heart with Gary Reinhart. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked it. I'm hoping to do more of these in the future. I have certain interviews I hope will be done by the next few weeks. Oh, there goes my phone telling me things. So like I said, I'm hoping to get some more interviews with locals about local issues and to talk about them. I just wanted today to speak on a more broader issue and see how you guys like it. What did you think about the arguments I put forward, or I guess non-arguments? I really didn't put many arguments, but the situations I put forward to you. What do you guys think about this format? Do you like me taking a subject and then talking about it in this manner and allowing you guys to comment on it, or is this something that's not really your style, not really something you were interested in? Because the whole point of this is to engage you guys as my audience. You know, I mean, because I talk to myself enough. Sometimes you got to talk to yourself because you're the only one who will listen, is what my dad used to say. No, he still says it, I guess. But yeah, I want to hear your comments. I want to hear your questions. I want to hear how you felt this went. I want to hear if you liked it, if you didn't like it. How can I improve on it? You know, this is a brand new area for all of us, especially me, to go into and speak on this level. And it's an exciting journey that I want to take you guys on. So, having said that, like I said before in the other half of the video, because I guess I'm going to have to split this into two halves since the other one quit at some point. Daclin Radio is getting is in the midst of getting an office and getting a central location that people can come to. So we're in the middle of that. Middle of trying to get the internet there and have it all set up. So that'll be really cool when that happens. And then hopefully that will help legitimize the station a little more. Allow us to get people to have their own show without fear of technical problems, such as the one I just had. Maybe a little help. Good place to have interviews. And just, a wonderful station for us to enjoy and to use to talk to the rest of the world. That's the point of Daclin Radio, is to try and tell the world that the Adirondacks are here and then get them interested. All right, guys, so if you're out and about tonight, once again, at 9 p.m., I have open mic night at the Inn at Speculating. You can come down, see me. You can come tell me what you thought of this episode. You come yell at me at my opinions if you want. It won't be the first time. But if you're going to, just put some money in the tip jar before you do it. That'd make me happy. All right. Well, I hope to see you guys later. All right. Until next time, adios.